And the during this webinar, we're going to showcase sort of certain aspects of the DigiDAD channel, with that being our parenting course, our second parenting course, and our Clarity Through the Courts series. We'll be talking a bit about like how the e-learning platform is not just an e-learning platform, but it's also a great chance for us to upskill young dads, for young dads to be involved in creating digital content, and how our young dads are at the heart of everything that we create with DigiDAD. And then we'll also be looking at the future of DigiDAD and what that might hold. To put it into context, we currently have 6 podcasts, 34 videos, 2 parenting courses that live on our e-learning platform at the moment. So they range a multitude of kind of themes, you know, from mental health to sort of real baby parenting courses to a bit older, and then hopefully we're gonna go right into the toddler years as well, and hopefully perinatal as well in terms of our courses. And I'm just really excited to kind of have a really extensive list of speakers as well, who will be speaking to you right from today, right from sort of law specialists into kind of members of the FMP, and most importantly, our young dads as well, who've really the main contributors to this work. So without further ado, I will now pass on to Stephen Bramwell, who's the chair of our board, and he'll just give us a little history or introduction to Needle.
Jonah, morning everyone. Hello, thank you for joining us, and thank you for gifting time. It's always busy, and we do really appreciate people's time for this. As Jonah says, my name's Stephen. I'm the current chair of the board. I've been around with North East Young Dads and Lads since the beginning, really. But in my day job, I work in the NHS. I'm an NHS commissioner. I often say for my sins, but I do really enjoy my day job. But Needle does give me the opportunity to do what I'm actually truly passionate about. As Jonah says, I've been asked just to say a few words about North East Young Dads and Lads. We often call it Needle. So if you hear that kind of acronym being used, Needle is just the acronym of North East Young Dads and Lads. And really, I've just been asked to give a little bit of context about the organisation and how we've arrived to today, I suppose, in some way, shape or form. So Needle grew really from a part-time single post many moons ago. And it's grown massively in a very, very short space of time. And we're really pleased in what it's done. We're really pleased in its growth, and we're really pleased in it's excelled in what it intended to do. It's always been the intention of Needle to provide the best support to young men, to young dads and lads. That's a cornerstone of Needle. That almost goes without saying. But it's also been a key part of our work to learn and research what works and what the needs are for this community, because it is truly seldom heard. We don't hear a lot of this community, and we want to really kind of champion the research and the learning about the kind of needs-led approach, essentially. And key for us, key for me, key for the board, key for everyone connected to Needle is the innovation around that. And DigiDAD is just one of the examples of innovation I think we've had over kind of Needle's life. We know that young men experience a wide range of needs. You can probably guess a lot of them: relationship breakdowns, financial challenges, loss of contact with child, mental health, which is my kind of area of day job, you know, to name a few. But often in a system which isn't designed to be easy to navigate, easy to access, and often young men struggle with that and struggle to reach out with that. There is a culture or a community where men don't often reach out for the support needs that are there for them, and that reach is really important. So DigiDAD is just a number of tools we have to support that reach, to support young men to access the support and the knowledge and the skills that they need. So Needle has a broad offer currently to date. We have Bees on Rooftops, there is one-to-one support groups, there's football, there is Really Good Dads, a cycling programme, a future online gaming platform which uses language I do not understand, like Discord server. I have no idea what that is, but I still will say it frequently. I'm sure I'll learn today. we're proud in our kind of offer, we're proud in our expansion, we're proud in what we're able to do, because it's always been informed by young men, by young dads, by young lads, telling us what their needs are and how they would like us to support them. But we're really pleased that we're also expanding in our geographical reach. We very much had a Tyne-and-Wear focus for the past few years, and due to some new funding and new kind of commissions, we're going to be stretching our kind of wings into the Tees Valley, into Teesside during 2022. And we're also expanding with some new contract and commissioning work through some fantastic and supportive funders. So a huge thanks always goes to those. The one thing I'm really proud of is that at some point in this year, 2022, the staffing team of Needle will be made up of just over 65% of former service beneficiaries, former young men, young dads and lads. And that's really important to us, because as an organisation, it's within our culture and our values that we are informed by men, by young men, and that we're needs driven. And that's a really important kind of message for us around that needs-led approach. And that's important for us as an organisation locally, but if we also think about the kind of broader sustainable development goals around challenge inequality, that's an important kind of measure for us. So DigiDAD helps us in our kind of ambition. We want to innovate, and it's doing that. We want to meet the needs that young men tell us about. DigiDAD will achieve that. But it also feels like a fit and sustainable model for this kind of future world, this kind of online world, this fourth industrial revolution, if you call it that, this kind of new world that we're kind of branching into. It'll help us develop, it'll help us spread our wings, it'll help us support more young men, young dads and lads and their families and the communities that they live in a new online platform. And that's really exciting for us. It's been a long time coming. We've always had this ambition of an online platform. And we're really pleased that despite the awful pandemic years and the challenges that that's put in front of us, we're now in a place where here we are launching officially DigiDAD. And that's a really exciting kind of change in Needle's life. So over this morning, and thank you again for joining us. I'm always really thankful of people gifting time. You're going to hear more about this online offer, this platform, where we think it's got us currently, but also where we think it can develop us into the future. So again, just a thank you for joining us and welcome.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, and I thought, so what better way to kind of introduce the DigiDAD and what it might be than show you one of the first films that we've ever created. And this is voiced by one of our young dads called Adam Johnson, who works incredibly hard to help create this series of films, which he'll talk about a little bit later. But here is the film, just for context for you all.
Well, congratulations. You are now officially a young dad. It's an amazing journey and one we have all taken, so we know it can be a little scary to start with. Having your first baby can feel like it's all about mum, but dads are massively important, and you're going to feel just as tired, lonely and stressed at times. The first thing to remember is that you matter and can make a huge difference. You might not have carried your baby or given birth, and you definitely can't breastfeed, but guess what? You can do everything else. We're going to help you get really good at all the things new parents need to do. Sorry, I got a little ahead of the story. Let's start at the very beginning. So here's your baby. It'll be small and some of them are tiny. They mostly sleep, sleep and sleep. And if they aren't sleeping, they'll probably be crying to start with. It's nothing personal, it's just what babies do. And you were one once. They might not even recognize you for a while, but don't worry, that's totally normal. You might find they look strange, especially at first. Kind of squished, gooey, and a bit alien-like. But then think about the journey they've just had. From floating around secure inside of mum, now they have to take on the busy world, and it's your job to help them. Another amazing fact about babies, they have a soft spot on top of their head. Be really careful around that, as it's an opening into the skull. Your baby is very precious, so always be responsible when looking after them. You're joining the Dad Club. That's pretty amazing, to be honest. And you're good enough to be in it. That you're here now shows how much you care about getting it right. Keep at it, and you're going to make some of the best memories ever on this journey.
So that was one of the first ever films we did, and it's, for context, it's part of 6 other films that live on the DigiDAD site, which is on our first parenting course. So the idea is that you can take the parenting course, do the 6 videos, and then you get a certificate at the end. And it's really, I think it's important to note as well that how this has changed our practice a little bit about working with dads who might need that parenting support, in that we can ask them to view the videos before we come, we can go to the houses, watch the videos with them, and then go through some more practical advice with you know, the kind of fake babies and stuff like that, and changing nappies. So it's a really adaptable practice, and it can be used digitally, one-to-one. And I think what's really nice about it and what I try to do with DigiDAD is try and put an emphasis on that individual learning, or getting dads to seek out that learning. What Adam, who voiced that, couldn't be here today, but he really wanted to talk at this webinar. So what he did is, quite a while ago, he created a video about DigiDAD. So I will just play that for you all as well. So I'll just share my screen again.
My name's Adam, and welcome to DigiDAD. DigiDAD is an e-learning platform full of useful content. Why not sign up with one of our accredited courses? Or you can just browse our videos. And if you don't feel like watching anything, feel free to check out one of our great podcasts. We really hope this site might help you on your journey through fatherhood. All of our material has been created by young dads. All of our content is made by young dads just like myself. It is also accredited and approved by health and social care professionals. As a young dad, before I had my son Oliver, who is now 6 months old, it can be very, very stressful times, because you don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, you can speak to people, your friends that have children, to be like, oh, don't worry about it, you'll be fine. But like me, I always thought I'd have to go into some parenting courses and stuff, and you're like, I can't look after a baby, I can't look after myself. But believe it or not, I mean, if I can do it, you can definitely do it. That's definitely a fact.
Rocking your baby slowly and gently is another great way to keep everything calm. Babies like to be held in different positions, so just like a jiu-jitsu black belt. What's these nifty dad options?
I've learned about things, just how to bath your baby, just the basic things really. And I think even though things can seem very basic, it's not also as basic as you think. Sometimes there's just certain things you've got to do with the baby, and certain ways you've got to hold them. And especially being a young parent, I mean, it can be very scary at times, really. And especially like me, I'm a single dad. I mean, some people, probably most people are probably are religious, but me, I'm a single dad, and I think there's a lot more support out there for mums compared to dads. And that's why DigiDAD is so vital to me as a dad itself. And I really think it is an important part. And it's what we're trying to do is just make sure you get the support you need, just to do the best we can and try and give you everything you need as a parent.
So that was from Adam, who unfortunately couldn't be here today because he's got work, but he really wanted me to show that video to you all. And I think as well, I'd just like to highlight that we've tried to make DigiDAD as kind of accessible as possible, with downloadable PDFs as part of our courses, putting them all on YouTube so they can all be subtitled. They're also accessible on phone as well as computers, and we do have a phone service as well where we're currently offering phones to dads who are currently in digital poverty, so we can take a phone round and they can access the DigiDAD platform as well if they don't have access to a phone or a computer. And I'd like to pass now on to our CEO, Kevin Stoodley, who is going to say a few words. So thank you, Kevin.
Can I say more than a few?
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see so many friends, both old and new, from as far afield as Barcelona, I believe. So great to see you all here and welcome. Like all great ideas, DigiDAD evolved in response to a set of challenges for us. How we continue to support young men in a meaningful way and a sustainable way during lockdown and social distancing measures and beyond that. how we meet the rising demand for our support services and expertise. As Jonah mentioned, we're a fairly small team. We started out in Gateshead, but actually increasingly now we're working into Sunderland, North and South Tyneside, Newcastle, Durham, Northumberland, and we've had weekly calls and inquiries from social care professionals and health professionals in Middlesbrough, Redcar, Cleveland, and Hartlepool saying, "When are you coming? When are you coming down here to help us as well?" We really want to do that. We're really keen to help everyone because we've seen firsthand the transformational impact that Needle can have in young men's lives. And we know the challenges these young men face, whether it's loneliness and isolation, poor mental health, lack of parenting skills, opportunities and confidence, homelessness, poverty, employability and unemployment, involvement in child protection or child in need proceedings, loss of all contact with their children following breakups, particularly during the pandemic, and difficulty navigating complex proceedings like family court proceedings. The solution for us came, as usual, from the real superheroes of this story today, which is our young dads, as per usual. Anyone who knows Needle through our social media threads, through our radio and TV appearances, our annual reports, webinars, presentations, research activities, project collaborations, one-to-one and group work provision will tell you that we recognise and value young dads and expectant fathers as by far the most important asset here at Needle. And in DigiDAD, these young men have really kind of stepped up and created something truly innovative and astonishing. All the films, the animations, the podcasts, the e-learning content found on DigiDAD have been made by young dads for young dads. From the peer research with the University of Lincoln to investigate and support the aspirations of minoritized young dads, to hosting podcasts with former footballers who are themselves teen dads, from co-presenting Clarity Through the Court film series with law students from Newcastle University, to voicing not one but two parenting series. Young dads have been inside, outside, and all the way around DigiDAD from the start. And the results speak for themselves. What we've got here is a platform that's fun because the young men who've made it are funny. It's powerful because the lads who've made it have spoken from the heart. It's accurate because the lads who've done this research are supported by a brilliant advisory group. It's credible because it features real young men, not actors, who look and sound like the young men they want to help. It's engaging because the lads have styled it to meet their own needs. It's not clinical, it's not medical, it's fast paced, it's not too wordy, and it addresses the real issues that matter most to these young dads. It's inventive because the young dads have showed us how to be inventive and creative. For example, the gaming stuff, the young men have showed us actually that you can connect young men safely online via gaming and build a vibrant and supportive community who are able to talk openly about the difficulties they face any time of the day or night. And finally, most importantly for us, DigiDAD is celebratory of young fathers and young fatherhood. You saw that in the first film, congratulations, you're a young dad now. That's how we often start our conversations with young men. We're often the first people to do that, to say to those young men, well done, and not to focus purely on the dangers and the assumptions that people have about young fathers. Thanks to our DigiDAD funders, the Esme Fairbairn Foundation, Her Majesty's Government in partnership with the National Lottery Community Fund, Lloyds Bank Foundation and BBC Children in Need. To our wider funders who keep the cogs and the gears turning here at Needle, Ballinger Charitable Trust, the Tudor Trust, Imagine Foundation, Gateshead Goes Local, Community Foundation Tyne and Weir Northumberland, Warburtons, the Lankelly Chase Foundation, Cycling UK and the National Lottery Community Fund. To our DigiDAD partners, including If You Care Share, the University of Lincoln, Newcastle University, Connected Voices, Future Men Through Motion, My Pockets, Claire Stringer, Pixel Buddy, and Julie Ballans. To our amazing advisory group who've given their time for free, many of them are on here today. To Jonah York, of course, who's kind of led this project and supported young men from the start. And also to the incredible young dads at Needle who have given their time, their energy, their passion and creativity to this project whilst expecting nothing in return. That's kind of Will, that's Dylan, that's John, Robert, Nathan, Adam, Jordan, Leighton, Mark, Josh, Rylan, Brad, Jed, Aaron. They're all Northeast young men who've been part of our service and have been beneficiaries before kind of progressing into into actors and researchers and creators and podcasts, etc. We're really pleased to offer this platform as a free to access resource for the foreseeable future. That's because of our funders and because of the investment that young men have given to this project. So please make use of it. It's our gift to you and to your communities of young dads. But this gift does come with an invitation. DigiDAD's free because we want to improve the lives of as many young men as we can. But just because it's free, it doesn't mean it's cheap. It's not cheap, it's priceless. And it's not finished yet. In fact, it's just beginning. So rather than taking the best bits of DigiDAD, and there are many, and investing in another e-learning portal, web-based resource, film series, animation, or podcast for young dads somewhere else in the country that looks and feels and sounds vaguely similar to what DigiDAD does, can you please talk to us, work with us, and let's invest in DigiDAD together? Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. That's and I hope we can reflect, I hope we can reflect by showing our next kind of presentation what Kevin was saying and how that work kind of works, because we're now going to move on to our second parenting course, which has been created with My Pockets Peter Snelling and Robert Oughton, who sat next to me, and also Nathan Noble, who couldn't be here today. But we really want to acknowledge Nathan Noble's amazing work on this as well. To start, we will show you the introductory video of this course, and that is this.
Hey fella, you down there?
Up here.
Intros. I'm Jamie, he's Kemmer, and we're two young dads from the Northeast.
And we've made a series of films to help you learn some basics around parenting for children aged 6 to 12 months. If you want to learn more about newborns, check out our other parenting course for that.
We're going to take you through every little step of the way, and to start with a little recap. So get off your phone, look lively, and look after that baby. A health visitor will visit you right at the start after your baby is born. And then as time goes on, we'll pop around a little less. If you have any worries at all, you should call them or visit your GP. They are there to help you and want to help you. The NHS website is great for information.
And you will get a red book that will contain all sorts of information that will help you and your new baby.
It's also very important that you register the birth. Make sure you are there when that happens and that you do it with the baby's mum, because this is how you get the rights and legal recognition as the father. Michael, we forgot something. You've actually got a baby, man. It's Rosie.
Here's some milestones for her. These are guides, really. Some babies do things faster than others. Everyone's different, and it's not a competition. If she's crying, she needs something. Listen in and learn the different cries. She'll soon start to recognize people, so get involved with her. Support and encourage your baby to sit, roll, bum shuffle, and crawl, so they can build up all the muscles they need to grow and progress.
Get them grooving and moving, man.
The closer they get to being one, the more they'll understand what you're saying and doing. So keep chatting to them and they will start to pick up words from you.
And mind your language, especially if you're losing at FIFA or you've burnt that pizza. Ooh, we've got the signs. Red cheeks, dribbling, chewing. Get ready for some sleepless nights, Michael. Looks like your baby's teething.
But remember, there are loads of things like teething rings that can soothe her. The main thing is to enjoy it. You might get the fear of missing out on your old life, but your baby is only small once and you might find there's no one else you'd rather be with. Play with her, get outside, explore the world and have fun.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. No one knows how to be a parent when it comes to it for the first time. They aren't born with manuals. It's all trial and error. Ask other dads and mums, mates with kids and family members. Cheers, mate. See you soon. You know what? I enjoyed that.
Well, good job. There's a lot more episodes to come.
Mint.
So there we go. That was the first video of the second parenting course. As you can probably tell from my accent and the fact that I'm wearing a shirt, it had to be father-led for the language of that film, the jokes, the kind of the regionalism, and even and I hope that through this kind of presentation you'll understand really how involved those young dads are in the process and how much they pushed me and Peter further and further and further away into what the final scripts and the final vocalities of how it was performed was. So I'll share my screen once again with the presentation, and we'll go on to our co-creation 6 to 12 month parenting course. So in this, we're going to cover a little bit about how we built up the image of our young dads, sort of how we worked on those scripts to actually create what you just saw, how then we recorded the voiceovers and the animations, and then if we get time, we'll watch another one of the videos. But if we don't get time, I'll put a little link so you can watch it after the webinar. So what we did is to get started is that we knew that we really needed to have a distinct image of like what our dads were and how we could reflect that in our puppets. So it was really vitally important that from the get-go we knew what we wanted. We knew we wanted a parenting course that had fathers at the front of it. We knew that we wanted to see the child and see the baby as well, and to show that really strong father and child bond. And that's what kind of worked. That's what kind of worked on. Initially, we had a focus group of about 7 young dads that worked on the themes of the actual. That worked on the themes, and these are the episodes that kind of came out of that. So what I'll do now is I'll pass on to Robert, who's one of the young dads who actually voiced it. You might recognize his voice, and he'll talk to you a little bit about this process.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Rob, and watching that video again, I mean, I'll never get used to listening to my own voice. This is really weird. But yeah, no. When I first found out about this whole project and what was going to be happening, immediately I was excited about it, and that's mainly because I've got a 7-year-old right now, and when my daughter was born, I didn't really have much to go off, really, especially nothing like this. This kind of stuff, it's just straight to the point. It's snappy. It's quick. It's for young fathers especially. It's quick and easy to just kind of pull something up and watch over it a couple of times with it being so short and to the point. But I think it's extremely important as well, especially the episodes we're covering. They, just based off the titles alone, that they're some of the main things that people ask and young dads wonder about, really, and see how the best way to handle things is. And to get that sense of relatability by watching these videos and getting that sense of like, I'm talking to another young father, for example, it kind of hits more, I guess, So what I used to do was, just talk to people or just, I guess, Google it, but having these videos in place, especially on such an accessible platform. And with it being free, as Kevin said, it gives every and any opportunity for a young father to look up anything they need and ask questions, if anything, as well. So that's why it's extremely important.
Yeah, and I think it was really, with the focus groups, we had that real want, didn't we, that it was like a conversation, that our videos became like a conversation, that it would be like another dad speaking to another dad. Mm-hmm. And the list was as long as my arm, but these were kind of the main sort of areas that we felt we needed to cover in this. And then what I'll do is I'll hand over to Peter. So Peter is the director of My Pockets, and was the mastermind behind the whole animation and kind of puppetry of this. So he'll just talk a little bit now about how he started to build the world and build the image of these puppets and young dads.
Hi everybody. Yeah, so at My Pockets, we kind of make our films. We do lots of films. We do all kinds of stuff, actually make music and work in all kinds of art forms. And like really core to our way of working is that the people whose stories we're telling, or the people who are involved in the workshop, that we like fully kind of like get involved with them and make sure that everything that we're making is like from them, or and that it's a true collaboration. Really, it's not just that we have like a little chat with them and then go away and create everything. It's like on this project, you know, the lads have been involved in it all the way through and are kind of part of the creative team, not just like a sort of focus group. And so how that sort of started on this is that we met everybody on Zoom, and we're like chatting. I'm getting to know everybody, and I'm listening to their stories. And then Jonah sent me this photo here well, he sent me a bunch of photos, but this is my favorite, of everybody kind of like at the five-a-side football team. And then I started to draw. So I sort of draw in a sort of pretty sort of crummy kind of way, I think. So I started to draw the lads. And then we sort of draw loads of lads. And then out of that we chatted. And then this lad here, that was our favorite. There was something about him that kind of like, that appealed to us. There's more over this side. And then we sort of go, okay, that's what we want to make. We want to make somebody that looks like that. And then we have a puppet maker who's like a kind of crazy sort of genius puppet maker, and so he then starts to build from that drawing, and then I'm chatting to him and talking about the lads and, you know, what they look like and how they are and what their personalities are like. And then he starts to sort of build the puppet from, as you can see across the bottom, until eventually we end up with this. So this is our kind of like, oh no, hold on, I've lost everybody. Oh, there we are. They are. So this is our lad, and he moves like that. And when we kind of animate him, we move him around like that. So what sort of tickled me about that, or something that I thought was sort of wonderful about it, was the idea of making a kind of Postman Pat childlike kind of animation in that kind of stop motion style, but for the character to be a young dad in his kind of tracky bottoms and trainers, and somehow the sort of the gluing together of those two things, of something where a look where people might kind of be critical of that, or have a kind of a set of prejudices around that type, you know, a young father dressed like that, and actually putting him in the context of a kind of film that's childlike and charming, and as charming as the lads were who took part in the project. So that's how we kind of came up with the idea.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, it was really lovely to kind of see the you know, the sort of four like almost like Frankenstein-y formation of the puppet, and with every week we jumped on Zoom, you know, there'd be another arm or another leg, and it was a really nice way for the dads, I think, to kind of see this being built. So what we'll do now is we'll kind of move on to how the scripts worked and how we kind of worked on the scripts, and I'll leave this to Robert actually to talk about, you know, sort of the young dads as innovators and the fundamentals, but also we were working on this at the height of the pandemic. So I think Robert will talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. So as Jonas mentioned, we're working on this during the pandemic, and a lot of the time we had to, you know, just work over Zoom, which was fine. If anything, it made it more viable to get work done instead of having to, you know, travel everywhere now and again and take up people's time. But yeah, so basically, I mean, the process was it involved a lot of different people in stages, you know. So it began with Jonah receiving a script with you know, the baseline of each of those 5 videos, and then one that will, if we have time, we'll show at the end. And then after that point, the script was then...
Oh, hi Denise. It's Angela Ward here, your family nurse. I'm just looking, do you have a contact number for Tracy Dewhurst? The new safeguard garden name. Yes.
You're not on mute.
I've just muted. Sorry, that was.
Yeah, no, I thought someone was asking me a question. I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah, so no, then the process was kind of like we then all sat down on Zoom with the scripts and kind of went through them at first, proofread them, but then we also had, as mentioned before, had an excellent advisory board who would, pick certain things out so that we could change them if necessary, and to keep them as factual as possible.
And I think what was great, wasn't it, about, and Peter will attest to this as well, in those rooms, was that there was a real energy, I think, in those Zoom rooms that was amazing. And we were kind of, Peter would have his script on the screen and the dads would kind of be in the corner, and we'd be constantly like changing little words or, adding in little Geordieisms or sort of the inflections of the script. And in terms of like allowing us to find the characters and and find that process, it was a really organic way of working, actually, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I mean, I think we must have sat there and read the same thing over and over and over again just to get that good feeling and like you said, the regional sort of accents and make it our own, which was also a great opportunity. I loved how we were able to sort of bend it to our will, even if we read through something and we thought we wouldn't actually say that in a normal conversation, we would then say, yeah, we'll change that word up and then go from there. But but I think bottom line, it kept the core fundamentals of why we're doing this and why certain things were said, which was again extremely important. Why we had the advisory board along, just to keep those factual points in check.
Keep us in check.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was great. It was a lot of fun, and I hope I get to do a lot more of that, to be honest. So yeah. And
just to give an idea of the process as well, I'll just share my screen again, because it's quite a long process that this takes. So first of all, Dr. Philip Heslop, who's part of our advisory board, sends me a massive PowerPoint presentation of all the themes that we choose, and that's purely just kind of health, academical, masses and masses of content that I review and read through and pick bits that I like. And then I kind of write the most horrendous thing in the world that's just awful and no one would ever want to read. Peter kind of makes it better and makes it look nice.
I have to read it.
Yeah. Bless Peter. Actually has to read it. And then we go to the dads and we change it even more. We put it in their vernacular. And then we take it to our advisory board, who we'll hear about later. And then we go back to the writing room, and then it's eventually ready to be voice recorded. So there's a really kind of intense process of these scripts. And, the fact that the dads, they have the attention for that long, and the script writing sessions are about an hour and a half, an hour. So they're not short kind of 10 minutes in a room. It's really intensive stuff, and they're brilliant, and their intentions held throughout, which is great. I would also like to say we had to have like the space we were in was very echoey as well, so we had to do makeshift sort of recording studios and things like that, so we had to think on my feet there. Oh yeah, for the voice. But so what was great is, and I think I'll pass to Peter now. So one of the first questions Peter kind of posed to me, and I thought really kind of makes us understand why we do this work, is he said, why not make a pamphlet? And I think that was just a great thing. And Peter's going to kind of explain why not now.
So I think, I have nothing against pamphlets. I know that pamphlets are, they've played a big role in my life and helped me through all kinds of things. But I think with something like this, what you get, and this is really key, and I guess hopefully you're starting to see this, is that there's this kind of collaborative process that is is happening where everybody is kind of equal, everybody is just feeding into this thing, and that means that people can criticize each other or knock down ideas, and it doesn't matter. There's no that you sort of lose a sensitivity about that because everybody owns it and everybody just wants it to be good. So that process that we went through was really key, and I think, you know, we've talked a lot about, we've talked a lot about the lads' contribution to that, which I think is where all the heart in the film is coming from, and the humour is coming from. But then also alongside that, there's the advisory board who are sort of cutting back against that because it's no good making these films that are all really funny and charming and full of heart if the information in them is wrong, you know, and is not actually what people should be doing. So I think that the challenge of this project was really in delivering that kind of proper information, proper kind of helpful stuff, but in a way that is accessible, you know, and in a way that is enjoyable and fun. And so that's what I think we've tried to pull off, and that's kind of, it really was a kind of across a whole load of different people from different walks of life, different specialisms, and different, you know, kind of medical, legal, the lads themselves, you know, my part of it, Jonah's part of it, everybody kind of contributing to that, you know. The scripts, getting the script right is really key because, as we'll see in a minute, the process of animating is quite painful. And so if the script isn't right, you really start to lose it. We lose it anyway when we're doing it, but you know, if the script isn't right, you really lose it.
Yeah, and I think just to put Robert in it here, here's a very unflattering photo of him on Zoom working on the script. But yeah, and I think we'll quite naturally come now to the creating and making side of it. And you know, how we kind of created the content, and you know, and it's why we had the young dads as the actors, because they do something that no actor could, and have that real authenticity and heart in everything that they delivered, which hopefully you can hear in the video. So Robert, would you like to just talk a little bit about how that process was of, you know, doing the voiceovers and kind of seeing it being animated?
Yeah, obviously until I first watched the videos and saw the animation, it helps, the animations alone help put it in a larger picture, and just have that visual sense of what's being talked about too, which is great. But when the voiceovers were being done, I mean, first of all, I was super nervous. I don't like hearing my own voice, so it's just really weird to hear that no matter how many times that I listen to it. But the process for the voiceovers, this is the first time I've done anything like this, and it's kind of made us feel like I'm actually a part of something, and the fact that it's going onto a platform that, again, it's easily accessible, and updates can constantly go out with further information and potentially even more videos or just daily reminders and updates. It's just great to be a part of, really. Yeah, so.
Great, thanks, Robert. And yeah, it was really kind of sort of guerrilla voiceovering. We were lucky enough to have a room at the Baltic.
Yeah.
And I don't have any pictures, unfortunately, but we built our little voiceover studios there. And you know, it was a really lovely couple of days that we spent you know, doing the voiceover. And now what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll pass over again to Peter, who'll talk a little bit about that animation process and how he animated it.
So what happens is that, so Julia, who's here too, so Julia works on the film with me and did a lot of the work. We take our guy, and then we move, you know, if we want him to wave, this is, you know, he has to, you know, Julia moves his arm like that, and we take a picture, and then we move his arm like that, and he take a picture, move his arm like that, take a picture. And then if we want him to blink, we swap out his eyes with the blink, and then we take the eyes out and we stick them back in, and then his hand moves a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. So, like, you know, that's, I don't know whether Julia actually doesn't go as mad as I do doing that. She seems quite happy doing it, so thank God for her. But it's kind of like, you can see how what that's like, you know. It's a long job, you know, and it's kind of like, what we're trying to do all the time is also you want the thing to wave, but you want him to have kind of character, you know. So that's the real trick with it, you know, that things move in a characterful way. And so to do that, I would act out bits of the script moving around, and then in our software you can have a picture of me, and then that moves with the kind of animation and that, and so you can copy what the kind of puppet is doing. I think we've got a clip of that for you, Jonah. Yeah, we've got a clip, and I'll show you that now. Sorry. So here it is. Here is Peter doing some animation.
Oh, wow.
So the puppet, I'm doing it, and then Julia's filming me. Sometimes we're like, you know, it's kind of good to close the blinds down because it's quite a weird like looking thing, you know. and then we kind of do that, and then we match the puppet to move to the thing. And we've never used that process, but like we at My Pockets, we're sort of pretty. I like to sort of just. I suppose that's another aspect of being truthful to the process of listening to the dads, really, in that when we start the process, I didn't know that we were going to use that technique. I'd never used the technique of videoing somebody and then acting it out before, you know, and so we've arrived at that through the process. It could have been a completely different film, you know, and the reason it is like it is because along the way we're getting kind of molded by what we're hearing and what people are saying to us. Thanks, Peter, and thanks for talking us through that. Unfortunately, just because of time, I'm not going to get a chance to show the next parenting video, but it's all online. So, you know, please do view our YouTube channels, which I'll keep putting on in the chat. And I think it's really important as well. And I hope that you've seen how our young dads are being trained as well to write scripts, to be a part of animation processes, to see how that all works. And that, you know, you know, what I want is the young dads to ultimately work me out for my own job so that, you know, they could be doing this and they can be creating the films and spearheading all of these projects, which, to be honest, they already do, but don't tell Kevin, because otherwise I will get fired. But yeah, so I think that, so thank you for that. And we'll learn a bit more as well about how dads are filmmakers as well in our projects. But we'll move on now, just because of time, to our Clarity Through the Courts sections of the film, which is a very different kind of set of films, which is all about private law practice. So I'm very lucky to welcome speakers Jenny Goldstein, who's family law specialist, Jordan Richardson, who's one of our young dads and trustee at Needle, Jenny Johnson and Chloe Lake, who are part of the pro bono street law project at Newcastle University. And there's also lots of other people who have been involved in this project. And you've guessed it, I've got a video for all of that as well. So here we go. Here's our Clarity Through the Courts introductory video.
My name's Doug Laidlaw. I'm the senior project worker for North East Young Dads and Lads. I've been with the service since 2017. I have been working in the voluntary sector with men and boys for over 20 years now. So I've always worked with young men that are vulnerable or vulnerable men, working with them to support them.
I'm Brian Clark. I'm a professor of law and civil justice here at Newcastle University Law School. One of my main areas of research and teaching is mediation. I've been involved in the field for about 25 years now. And what first really attracted me to mediation was seeing how disputes were often resolved quite ineffectively through the courts and through legal processes. I discovered that there might be a better way of resolving those disputes in a more harmonious way, a more conciliatory way. And that's what really drew me to mediation in the first place.
My name's Sean Brockbank. I'm a family court advisor in Newcastle. I work for CAFCAS, and that stands for the Child and Family Court Advisory and Support Service. I work in private law, so that's when parents can't agree about where a child should live or how much time they should spend with each other. CAFCAS as an organisation works with nearly 140,000 children across the UK in these situations. And really my job is to be the voice of the child to the court. So the court would ask a family court advisor to become involved when there is a dispute. We would undertake assessments, make recommendations to the court for the best interests of that child. Family court advisors are all qualified social workers with substantial experience and practice, whether that's safeguarding or other forms of social work. And we're employed specifically for our expertise in working with children.
My name's Jenny Goldstein, and I am a trustee of the charity. In my day job, I am a family law specialist, and I've been doing that for over 30 years. I became involved in this charity because young fathers, in my experience, are a group of people who are completely underrepresented, both in terms of their role as fathers and in wider society, as well as, unfortunately, within the family court system.
My name's William Patterson. I'm Vice Chair of the Board for the North East Young Dads and Lads, and obviously they took us through the initial court hearings for private court.
My name's Jordan Richardson, and I'm a trustee for Young Dads and Lads. I've been part of the charity since it first started, and I just want to stay with it.
Hi, I'm Faye and this is Nathan. The team we've just met all have experience of the private law court system. This series of films will guide you through that process and give you some clarity about what to expect.
So that was just a little introduction of all the speakers that we saw on our that are speaking in the kind of clarity through the courts films. Now it's to give a bit of context, it's a 7-part film series on private law proceedings, going right from parental responsibility right through to the kind of final hearing. So we cover parental responsibility, mediation, CAFCAS, sort of preparing yourself for court, the initial hearing, and then the final hearing as well. It was really important for us to have professionals, but also have the voices of the young dads. We kind of realized that, you know, for I think it's around 20% of our clients or service beneficiaries will immediately benefit from these films, and with COVID as well, there's an increasing rise of especially fathers going through private law proceedings. So we kind of really recognize the need now for this series of films. And I think who better to kind of lead us on that than Jenny Goldstein, who is a trustee and a family law specialist. So if I can pass on to Jenny to just have a few words, that'd be amazing. Thank you, Jenny.
Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see so many people here. Obviously, I've worked in family law for over 3 decades, and sadly, it is my experience, and it continues to be my experience, that young fathers are disenfranchised in this system. They don't know where to begin. They feel there's no point. They are, having to deal with the courts, which is a massive thing for even someone who's much more mature and has more life experience to have to deal with. And what they don't understand is it's there for them to take, but because it's such a remote thing in terms of their ordinary lives, they never even think, I can do something about this, and I am able to establish myself as an active father in my child's life. So this organisation, it's an absolute pleasure to be involved in. I love being a trustee of Needle. There's so much energy and enthusiasm and brilliant, up-to-date ideas. I'm a stuffy lawyer. I just sit there, you know, and they start talking about gaming, and I'm thinking, wow, this is huge. So it's been an absolute pleasure. And I think, you know, if you are a young man and you're thinking, what can I do? And I don't really want to ask anybody, these films actually are very powerful because they give you the information in an extremely private and accessible way. And you start realizing you're not on your own, that there is something you can do, and there are people who will help you do it. So I feel that it's actually my pleasure to be involved in all this, and I feel quite humbled by the work that goes on within the organisation, and particularly the work that is put into this and this project by the young people, the young fathers.
Thank you, Jenny. That's lovely to hear. Thank you. And it wouldn't be right unless we, you know, also include one of the voices of one of our very, very predominant young dads, and he's kind of been with us since the real beginning, and he's a real asset to Needle. And I know he wanted to be involved in this project, obviously in a quite personal way, because he has gone through sort of private law proceedings, and it was successful for him, and Needle kind of helped him through that journey. And I think what's amazing about Jordan is that he saw that reflection in this work, and so that's why he was so desperate to contribute, which was brilliant. Yeah, Jordan, if I could just ask you a little bit about, you know, why you wanted to be involved, and that connection to your story, and like what you hope other dads can get from these series of films.
Well, my connection to this whole project was just that it felt so close to home. With, like, as I'd say, like I had no contact, and because of young dads, I ended up getting contact with my child, and because I felt that was a mission accomplished for me, I thought that it'd be great to help other dads accomplish their mission and goal to get their daughters or sons or whatever else back to them and make sure they can be the best dad they want to be.
Thanks, Jordan. It's you know, and Jordan was great, and so was Will, who was also involved in this project, alongside Nathan Noble as well, who kind of presented it. And they really helped me to understand a incredibly complicated system that I had to really figure out. And they, you know, they were on Zoom with me again and in person, planning out how these films were going to run. What was also great about this project as well, is that they also learned skills. So Nathan learned skills about being presenter, sort of writing scripts, bridging gaps between, you know, the films. It was very difficult, we found, to make the films personable, and it was actually the dads who came up with the idea to have presenters involved to kind of bridge those gaps, make it a bit more human, and to kind of have that check-in where, because we're talking about quite emotional things, we're talking about a long time that you might not get to see children for, we understood that it can be very difficult. But what we also like about, and the dads liked, I think, about the film, is that you can pause it. There's, you know, you can take it at your own time, as Jenny said, in your own space. And I think that kind of having the young dads peppered through the films really allows, you know, you to check in with a familiar voice, and with a kind of peer, which is what we're all about at Needle. A big part of this project was working with the street law team, who are based at the University of Newcastle. And we've got Chloe and Jenny here today to speak a little bit about their involvement. Chloe, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, yeah.
Hi, Chloe. Nice to see you again. Would you like to chat a little bit about your kind of involvement with the project, and how the street law team massively helped me get all my head around private practice?
Yeah, so I'm a law student at Newcastle, so I was part of the street law team, which is basically like big pro bono project where we help out different projects that need kind of just a bit of legal knowledge. So this was actually the first project that I'd ever done. So I'd never done a project before, so it was quite exciting for me to see what it would be like. So I honestly didn't even realise that like it was an area that didn't have much information going about, that it was very inaccessible. I didn't know that it was so unavailable to young dads. So as soon as I found that out, I just thought, oh, well, I want to try and help make it much more accessible to the young dads. So basically we decided we kind of all split off into different groups, kind of found like a few key topics that we had, and decided to split into groups and try and find as much information as we could for Jonah to try and put knowledge into the videos. Obviously it was not something that I particularly knew about anyway. I do a bit of family law this year, but at the time I didn't really know much about it myself. So basically we were just trying to find knowledge that was obviously key to the dads, but also when you're finding the documents, it's so complicated, there's so many difficult words, even we didn't know what they mean. So it was just about keeping the language simple and making it accessible to everyone. And obviously also it's so boring, not making it boring. So that was kind of what we did. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the whole experience. I went to the filming day at the law school, where I watched Jennifer film, and that was really good. I've never seen like a video or anything like that being filmed like at that professional level, so that was really exciting. And yeah, overall it's just been a really, really positive thing to be involved in. It was just really, really good. Yeah, I've learned a lot about it. I didn't realise that we're so inaccessible to dads and things like that. So yeah, just great to see you.
Oh, thank you, Chloe, and it's very nice to see you again. And yeah, I think, and I'll come on to Jenny as well, but there's no kind of underestimating that, you know, that really powerful relationship that the dads had with the street law team. I'm sure Jenny will mention as well, it's a relationship that we've already had, we had in person, but you know, to be able to take it into this digital realm. Again, this was filmed during the height of COVID, so it was a lot of work over Zoom and all that, and we were very keen to work together. Again, because of how successful it was when we were in person, we wanted to replicate that again online. And I think just a personal reflection for me was a really powerful point of the process. I think it was our second Zoom after our instruction, and I got Will to kind of come in and talk about his story in the first Zoom, and I think it kind of really put into context for all of us the sort of meaning that this work has, and the importance that it has, and the need for it to be about. It's also something as well that's kind of on our social media channels. There's quite a lot of traction around this in terms of other support groups kind of, you know, being really appreciative of this work coming out. So I think it's, you know, it's great that it's coming out now. So yeah, I'll pass on to Jenny Johnston, who is the leader of the pro bono street law team. So thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us. It's been an absolute privilege to be part of the project, and I know that the street law ambassadors have really enjoyed it. And I think Emily, Molly, Faye, Lily, Eleanor, Aria, and Megan, and obviously Chloe, who's spoken here, have done a tremendous amount of work. And yeah, I mean, the relationship we've had with North East Young Dads and Lads, I was trying to remember, Kevin, it's about 6 years, something like that. So, and our students have been sort of in-person sessions, but the aim is to sort of deliver awareness raising sessions around legal rights and responsibilities, but in a way in which meets what the young dads want to know about. So it's very much led by, you know, the young people, the community groups that we're working with. So as Jonah said, that session we had when we were speaking to Will was just great for the students to understand the law in terms of the impact of it, and trying to sort of navigate your way through it. And so I think these videos are a great way of sort of trying to do that. And so, you know, I think for the students' perspective, I think it sort of brings the law to life. It sort of brings value as well to what they're doing, and I think they get so much out of doing that. And certainly putting what is very complex, as Chloe said, quite complex areas of law and sometimes quite dry pieces of information into a way in which is more accessible and can be used. And I think that's really what we're about with the Street Law project. Huge thanks to sort of Dahlia, who sort of supports, been supporting it, and Jasmine as well, who support the project here. And really, you know, the students own it, and they do so much work. So it's a privilege to work with them as well, and very proud of them. But and also Brian Clark, who a colleague who got involved as well, which was great. So yeah, great project to be part of, and yeah, look to continue working with you in the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, and thank you again to the Street Law team, that is Dahlia, Jenny and Chloe. Thank you very much. And I also think as well, like it's important to mention that, you know, the sort of individuals that we managed to get to be a part of this film was surprised me really, with the fact that we were allowed to get CAFCAS, and CAFCAS were behind this, which is a massive national organisation. And it was very surprising. I remember getting the email and kind of forwarding it on to Kevin straight away, being very happy about that, because it is quite an achievement, I think. And then also to have Brian, who's a professor of mediation, you know, Jenny, who's a law specialist. It was a really special team, and you could really feel that in the filming days that we had. So I'll just quickly share my screen once again. So this is kind of the dates that we're going to be releasing the Clarity Through the Courts films. And these are kind of the themes that the films are going to cover as well. We've gone for just a staggered release because based on what's happening at the moment with our social media channels and our YouTube channels, it seems to really work, and we're getting some really strong viewing figures at the moment. I think we're nearly on 100 hours of kind of viewing time on YouTube, which is great. And I think we're above like 4,000 views on our channel at the moment. So in terms of giving them the biggest exposure we can, we decided this kind of release way was a lot better than just getting them all out at once. But that doesn't mean that the videos aren't accessible. They are accessible to the dads. We have them, we can show them to the dads that we're working with. And I'm more than happy to find a way, if anyone else really needs access to those films, that we can work together to do that. So what I'll do is I won't show you the whole film, but I'll show you a little section of our film on mediation, just so you can kind of get a little understanding of how the films look and feel.
The majority of cases go through a process of mediation. So what is it, and when is it appropriate?
And how do you find a mediator?
Mediation is really just a process of negotiation where parties who have some kind of dispute are helped by a third-party neutral, a trained person called a mediator, to help them to resolve that dispute. And the mediator will try to help the parties to communicate more effectively. We'll discuss what's going on in the dispute, and will hopefully help them to come to some kind of common ground and a mutually acceptable way of resolving the issue.
Either you can sort it out through mediation, which is fantastic, much better way to deal with matters, or if it's not suitable, you get the certificate to issue your application to the court. What you need is information. You need to know how to do this. That's where a charity such as ours comes in, or the support by court service. So you need to get clear in your head, what is the process and what do I need to do?
There's a body called the Family Mediation Council, and they represent a group of different mediation trainers. And they have a list of registered mediators who are properly trained, who are regulated, who go through ongoing professional development. They've often got insurance as well. And that can be a way of safeguarding and ensuring that this is an appropriate person to resolve the dispute. Mediation is not going to be appropriate in every case. I think it usually will be, but there'll be some instances, and for some parties, it just won't be the right thing to do. Particularly if there's been a history of domestic violence in a relationship, or there are welfare concerns about one of the parties in the relationship, then mediation is probably not going to be appropriate in those cases. Normally in a mediation, the parties attend the mediation with the mediator, but without their lawyers. In some other contexts, lawyers quite commonly represent clients in mediation, but that's not usually what happens in family mediation. But nonetheless, quite often parties will have access to legal advice and assistance while the mediation processes are ongoing. In terms of what mediation looks like in the family environment, then usually it's a series of meetings that we have. So normally there might be between 3 and 5 different separate mediation sessions over perhaps a 4 to 6 week period of an hour to 2 duration for each one. And normally at the beginning, the mediator tries to put the parties at ease. He or she will try to gain their trusts and will ask them to tell their story, to tell them what's happened from their point of view, what's important for them, what issues they want to discuss, and hopefully help them come to a way in which those issues can be resolved in a mutually acceptable way.
So that.
So there we go. I thought just to put it into a little bit of context, it'd be good for us to see a little section of the film, but I won't show you all of it just because it is available online, and yeah, it would be good to hear from other people as much as we can. So I completely understand that we've been here for an hour and 15 minutes or so. So if people do need to grab a comfort break, or turn their cameras off and go and make a cup of tea while they're listening to this, or anything like that, that's absolutely fine. I won't be offended. That's yeah, no problem at all. I would if I could, but I can't. So now we're going to move on to the thing that keeps us all in check and makes us all tick, which is the advisory board. So what I'll do is there's a lovely picture of our advisory board that I'll just share with you all now. So here they are. Here is the advisory board. So they're made up of an incredibly skilled team. So I'll pass it on to an incredibly skilled doctor, which is Dr. Anna Tarrent, to introduce them all. So thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Jonah. No pressure. So I just want to say a huge thank you, first of all, for inviting me to speak very briefly today. And also just to echo what everyone else has been saying. First of all, it's been really wonderful just to sort of see the project and hear how it's progressed over time. But also, it's just so impressive, the kind of innovation, the creativity, and also the transformative nature of the work that Needle's doing, both in terms of supporting young dads, promoting positive messages about them and raising visibility, and also pushing such a strong agenda around father inclusive and strengths-based practices and approaches to support for young fathers. For those of you that don't know me, I'm an associate professor of sociology at the University of Lincoln, and I'm also funded by UK Research and Innovation to conduct a 4-year qualitative longitudinal study called Following Young Fathers Further. And this study is exploring and capturing the parenting journeys and support needs of young dads, and has an aim of improving knowledge exchange between communities, professionals, and policymakers in order to promote father inclusive practice. So that's where my expertise lies, and that sort of explains my involvement in the work. I've also had the pleasure, as Kev mentioned, of working with several of the young dads from Needle on the Diverse Dads project, and I just wanted to mention that really quickly. So this was a project where we involved Adam, Will and Dylan as peer researchers, and they led an exploration of how we might improve outreach and support for minoritised young fathers and support them in their aspirations. So in that project, the dads conducted surveys, interviews with the young dads and professionals, and also co-delivered a sharing and learning webinar to professionals as well to inform practice. Jordan, who was there as well, who's featured in the webinar, he also spoke in one of our presentations for Parliament as well. So again, the level of confidence that the dads have developed through engaging in research has been incredible, and it's been really wonderful to watch them implement new skills to contribute to the evidence base and also to develop over time as well through the project. So when I was asked to be an advisory member for DigiDAD, I jumped at the opportunity to work with what turned out to be a really wonderful group of people, as featured here, and to collaborate with them and be creative with them as well. And as you can see from the picture, we're a really smiley, happy bunch, and we had a lot of fun doing this as well. As already mentioned, the core of the advisory groups comprise a range of people with a diverse mix of expertise and with different interests and investments in effective support for young dads. They also represent a number of different industries and sectors as well. And these are sectors that are professionals that might engage with young fathers across their parenting journey. So there were two academics, myself and Dr. Philip Heslop. There was Katrina Walker, a family nurse practitioner for the Family Nurse Partnership in Sunderland, Sarah Oliver, an approved mental health practitioner and social worker. There's Robert, who's on the screen there, a young dad and also a trustee of Needle. Jenny Goldstein, who you've heard from, a family law specialist and currently working for Samuel Phillips Law. And then Doug, a senior project worker at Needle and chair of the DigiDAD board. I believe Doug and Katrina are going to be explaining a bit more about the advisory board and how it operated. But just from my point of view, it was so great to really be able to draw on my own expertise as a fatherhood researcher, but also as a parent to young children myself, to support the development of the videos and the outputs and to see them come to life so beautifully. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Anna. And thank you for giving up your time to speak today. Yes, so we'll hear from the Ant and Dec of the Newcastle world, which is Doug and Katrina. So if Doug and Katrina would like to speak a little bit about just the kind of board and how it works. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonah, for that lovely introduction. Good morning, everybody. And I'd like to say, being chair of the advisory group was an honour. It was hard work at times, because you see from that picture there was lots of laughing, there was lots of joking, but it was really important that we had a diverse group of professionals and young dads there to make sure that we were getting the right information and the information that was correct at the time when we're working through the videos. I think Robert explained it very well earlier on when he said we're kind of the checks and balance group. So the scripts would come to us, we would have a look at them and make sure that they were getting the message that we wanted. If we needed to change anything, getting the process right. I think Peter said if we can get the script right at the beginning, the rest of the process became a lot easier. So that was really, the board came together to make sure that the messages that we wanted to get over and what the young dads were telling us, we were able to do that in a way that was young dad friendly, but also that would be accessible to other people and other services, and to make sure that we always put the young dads at the heart of what we're doing, and always asking that question, is it young dad friendly? Because as you would say, a lot of the videos and a lot of the information, when you look online for it, can be quite academic, can be quite health driven in a lot of the information. So we had to kind of think, right, how would the young dads see it? They would bring it to us. We would have a look at it, have a discuss, look at any changes that needed to be done, to make sure that it was correct, it was right, and the information was best practice as well. And I think that's where Katrina's going to have a little chat around when we was doing the videos around the parenting, to make sure that the information that we're doing was the most up to date and correct. So can I hand over to you, Katrina?
I don't know about Ant and Dec mind, Jonah, but yeah, so I just want to say it was an absolute pleasure and a privilege being invited onto the advisory board. And it was really difficult, like Doug's saying, reading through those scripts and trying to get the message just, at the right target. So my role, I suppose, was bringing health knowledge and expertise, making sure that the health information was research-based, it was up to date, and that there was key public health messages, and that they were going to be embedded within the videos. I think all the board were in agreement that we wanted the characters, dads, to be seen as listening, reading infant baby communication cues, being attuned to their baby, being responsive and sensitive in their caregiving in the videos, and using problem solving skills, because obviously we know each child's different. And we wanted it to be warm and humorous and supportive. Picking up on something Chloe had said, the law student, about you know, how do you make that interesting and fun? Sometimes the health messages are pretty serious, so I do feel like I was probably the weakest link in the advisory board, because I would, you know, say, should be saying that or doing that. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I mean, hats off to everybody really for what we've achieved.
Thank you. That's it's really nice to hear, and I'd also like to, you know, thank the advisory board as well, because, you know, they're giving up quite a lot of their time actually to kind of contribute to all these films. And I think what's extra special about the board is because it has such a diverse range of skills and professionals that it really lets us kind of, you know, some people kind of talk about things that they might not have knowledge on, but in a way that kind of allows everyone to be at that same level. I think it's a really special group of skills that we all have, and long may the advisory board continue. So thank you. And then we'll move on to sort of the last sort of section of our webinar before we have time for some questions, hopefully, which is the sort of future plans of DigiDAD, or the sort of where we want to be going with this platform, because we've got lots of great material, but as everyone will know, and as Kevin said as well earlier, that you know, that it's always going to need more. There's always going to be more that we can do, and we've got, you know, lists and courses and collaborations that we want to do, but that require money, or that require people to collaborate with. So I'd like to showcase one of the collaborations that we had with a mental health charity called If You Care Share. So we worked with If You Care Share to do a film around sort of mental health in young adults. And I'll just show you the trailer for that now. So this was working with Mark Ridden, Leighton, and Robert actually to do a film around mental health.
Felt so alone, wouldn't talk to anyone.
I have moments where I just want to shut myself away from everyone.
I don't know, just all got to me at once. My name's Tom, and I'm from an organisation called If You Care Share Foundation. If you think that someone is kind of struggling, obviously the first question that you would ask is, are you okay? And 9 times out of 10, that person is going to say to you, yeah, I'm absolutely fine. So actually what we like to train people to do, what we like to do ourselves, is get beyond the okay. So ask just a couple more questions, find out what actually okay means to that person, because my okay will be a lot different to maybe your okay or anybody else's okay.
My name's Jonah York. I'm the Peer Support and Education Officer at the North East Young Dads and Lads. Mental health can affect you at any point in your life. Whatever happens, it doesn't mean it's any more or less important to talk to someone, make that text or that phone call to someone who might be able to help you. And I hope you also feel that you're not alone, and that actually a lot of men struggle with mental health issues, and it doesn't make you any more or any less of a man.
It's not okay to not be okay. Men can't be seen to be sort of upset and crying and stuff, which is absolute garbage. You know, a lot of the time when men do speak out about these things, it'll kind of snowball into more and more people speaking out and talking about their feelings and how they struggled and been through something very, very similar. So if you feel like you are struggling, you do need some support, the first thing that always will ask you to do is to speak to someone. It could be absolutely anybody. Talk to that person. If you talk about it, just get your whole weight lift off your shoulders.
Feels like there's like all the pressure that's been built up is getting released when you talk to someone.
So there you go. That was a collaboration we did with If You Care Share, and I think it's really important, and I hope you can understand like how difficult and how amazing it was for those young dads to actually be a part of that project. It was a very challenging project to be a part of, but what I think it really highlights about the young dads that we have, in particular in this service, is that we have an incredibly skilled amount of young dads who are able to put themselves in front of a camera, behind a camera, writing a script, being part of the filming process, that can allow us to create films like that, which are, you know, I think incredibly engaging and incredibly important. And I think, you know, my question to you guys is that if you can see that there is an opportunity to collaborate, or if there's something that you think you might want to talk about, then please do get in touch, and we can see how we might be able to help that, you know, to make that happen. Because, you know, I've got an incredible cohort of young dads that I know would love to create more material. So yeah, that's kind of my question to you guys today is, you know, how do you think we might be able to work together if we can? And I hope we can, because that'd be brilliant. But we'll move on now to one project in particular that sparked quite a lot of interest already, and you've heard whispers of it throughout the webinar, and that's the kind of gaming project. So I'll share my screen once again. Sorry, I had lots of slides, but I think I prefer it when when we can see people's faces and stuff for as much as possible. So we'll about looking into the future now, and sort of, this is a really amazing project, kind of curated by two of our young dads, Dylan and Will, out of a need for gaming, and it was during COVID, and a lot of time was spent in isolation, as we all know, throughout the past 2 years. An incredibly difficult time for our young dads, and we were really trying to find ways that we could all connect. As a group, we did sort of online quizzes, and us old fogies did online quizzes and all that sort of stuff. But the young dads soon realized that actually, you know, what's much better is just to get together and game. So they decided to try and trial a period on Discord, which is actually, we want to take one step further. So this idea kind of entirely came from the young men, and has also been heavily involved with Dr. Micheal Richardson, as well of Newcastle University, who will also be speaking at the end. But I think if I can just welcome on Will, and we'll sort of talk together a little bit about the Discord channel. So Will, are you there at all?
Yeah, mate, I apologise if you can hear the kids screaming.
That's all right. No, that's fine. Absolutely fine. So, Will, so like, can you tell us about what Discord is, and what are your plans with Discord?
Discord's basically just like a live chat thing where you can just speak to each other through your headsets or by text or whatever. And we'll initially start off with a group of lads, just obviously like a trial run, like you said, to obviously see how it would be, like, would it be positive for COVID and whatever else. And I spoke to a couple of the lads literally just last week about it, and a lot of them said that it was a positive thing for them, where they were able to just go in and have a natter and whatever else. It wasn't more about the game, it was just about being able to have a chat. But obviously we thought that Discord would be a good way of looking ahead for like future plans, shady, for the fact that everybody more or less has access to the internet now. It's something where if someone's in a different country, whatever, we speak to people on our Discord, our private Discords, who live in Canada, Finland, whatever. So it was just a live chat thing where we could all have a mess about in games, have a daft crack, and have a chat if anything popped up, where it could be like a private conversation or whatever else. So obviously we spoke recently about trying to get the Discord up and running, where it's going to be a regular thing instead of just like a trial run. So it'll be like a once every fortnight or whatever else, just for a couple hours, where we can all just hop in, have a chat, play some games or whatever, and just get things off the chest.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, and so this will it'll be available to get onto through the DigiDAD page. And I think what's really nice about it as well is that, you know, it allows dads to go off into private chat rooms, to more public chat rooms. So, you know, and, you know, there'll be the likes of sort of Will or Dylan there. So if anyone is struggling, then they can pop off with the kind of one of our young dad peer mentors. and have a chat, or they can just be a part of that bigger group. So you've actually done a trial period of this, haven't you, Will? And you kind of touched on what was successful about it, but yeah, and I think as well, what would be great to hear is about, you know, the work you and Dylan did in terms of the safeguarding policies, you know, how you did lots of training and youth work training around this to kind of really make this a more organised kind of platform for young dads and men.
We've done that youth level 3, obviously, so we weren't obviously, we had with safeguard and whatever else in place, but we made a safeguarding policy where you have to sign and agree before you can even get into the Discord itself, so you can't actually come into the chat just whenever you want, and so you have to, like, it's more like a terms and conditions sort of thing. So you just read through it and it'll say stuff like, obviously, the rules, the do's and don'ts, and obviously you sign and agree, and then you'll come into the Discord. But we spent weeks doing that, and speaking about doing like a bot, so like a Siri, more or less, for even the Discord and stuff like that. But the trial period, like I say, is we had the safeguarding training. We built like a safeguarding form thing for people when they first enter, so there wasn't anything like where somebody can come in and do something offensive or whatever. So it was all safe no matter what. And we had, obviously, where if there was certain groups playing certain games or whatever, we could separate off into different groups, me and Dylan, and obviously we can supervise over them other groups. Like, and that's all written in the safeguarding policy, and people obviously sign and agree to it if they're happy enough to do it. So
that's great, and it's yeah, and I think what's I mean, you've talked about this as well. It's that, you know, I think what's great is that you found the need for, you know, getting dads out of isolation and being part of a new community and stuff. And it's also, you know, it can be something, I think, that's looked quite negatively upon sort of the gaming community, that it can be all, you know, sort of violence and stuff like that. But actually the games that you were playing were really varied, and like the community of dads was very supportive.
Yeah, so it's the Discord, with not having it, it's not there really for like a daft argument or squabble or whatever. It's sole purpose, what we had the idea of really was to obviously get people where they were able to come out of, so not like it's in their comfort zone, so they were still able to feel comfortable to reach out and speak or have a private chat, like you're saying, with private chat rooms or whatever. So it was more just getting people to obviously communicate, and if they felt comfortable, share their problems or whatever, and they can obviously relate to a lot of it in there because we're all been through the same sort of stuff. So it's more what the Discord was planned for, really.
Yeah,
like the isolation side of it.
Great. Yeah, Robert. Yeah.
Also with the Discord server as well, with it being invite only, it's very easy to you know, manage that group or people that come in and have a chat. But I think what's really important, and a lot of gamers can relate to this as well, is that it doesn't necessarily, I know it's about gaming, but it's happened to me numerous times in the past where I've set out to play a game and I'm in chat with maybe just one or two other people, and you'll be on autopilot on the game, but you're really focused on the talking part. And it's weird how that works, because it's just without actually experiencing it, it's like a surreal feeling, because you're just automatically doing what you love to do anyway, and with that feeling comfortable, for most gamers anyway, you can just chat about anything it feels like at the same time. So it's really great. It's a good platform.
And I think it's thanks, Will. That was, and thank you, Will. That was really great. And I think what the youth workers will know, or you know, many people, health workers, youth workers, or if you've done any sort of work like that, is that often when you do a project that doesn't involve eye contact, walking, cycling, gardening, you get amazing conversations, and what we're seeing with this work is a correlation between the virtual world and those conversations that are being allowed to be expressed. what's also really exciting for me, and I never really knew this was a thing before Dylan and Will kind of introduced it to me, is that hopefully we'll be able to create you know, and if people are kind of investing in DigiDAD, a chatbot that will connect all of our services together. So you could be able to sign up to our, you know, peer cycling group. You could be able to book onto our five-a-side football team. All those sorts of offers. The chatbot will it will be father friendly. So hopefully, you know, I could get together with a group of dads. Well, I will, and we could decide like how that chatbot acts. So a chatbot in a sense would be its own individual personality. So we'd create it in the personality of one of our young dads. So they could ask a question, maybe, I'm really not feeling good about my mental state. And then it would give lots of options about what to do, what videos to maybe go and see. I don't know how to change the nappy, or my baby's not sleeping. And it will immediately kind of, push you into that kind of area of the DigiDAD's site. And I think here there's a tech wizard. It's Dr. Micheal Richardson, and he has a really kind of good understanding about sort of the potential. I mean, he's done a lot of work and pushed needle in a great way about like kind of experimenting with tech and how we use tech to help our dads. So he's got a really good understanding about the potential of this, haven't you, Micheal?
Wow, absolutely not. No, I self-profess to call myself a technophobe, actually, but I think it's because of that fear that I have sort of been pushed into kind of trying to understand it more. And I think for those who don't know me, I'm a trustee at Needle and have been for the past few years. I'm a lecturer in human geography here at Newcastle University. And I've been involved in different research projects with the dads over time. But I think I spotted Kevin put in the chat as well. Gaming has always been sort of running through this group of young men. And I think for a long time as an organization, we didn't fully understand it. And I think really what's so great is the way that Will has obviously presented this work. Robert has chipped in, Jordan, of course, as well. Has really talked about how central gaming is to the social lives of the young men that we work with. And I think that's really, really exciting and also really important for us to understand and therefore acknowledge. Clearly, that's counterintuitive to the way gaming in young men is talked about nationally and internationally. For anybody who has seen Louis Theroux's recent documentary, Forbidden America, on BBC Two, these links between young men, gaming, and the far right are made explicit. And this is an era that we are in, and we need to understand and obviously guard against that. I think just a couple of quick points for me on this, because I want to get to the opportunity for questions. But what's really key here is the way in which the young dads have recognized this themselves. We've heard a little bit about working on safeguarding policies and really working towards an exciting way to use technology and perhaps the role of artificial intelligence through bot technologies to actually attach this safeguarding into the frameworks in which we proceed with DigiDAD and the way that we embed gaming into the DigiDAD platform. So that builds on some pilot work that I have been able to work with research software engineers here at Newcastle Data, where we have designed already with a couple of the young dads a proof of concept app. So there's established working relationships, which is really exciting. However, of course, funding for these technological advancements is really where we hit a little bit of a stumbling block. So as an organization, we're kind of actively looking to make connections with the gaming community and of course with funders. But really, again, this is a fantastic opportunity for us to do so in the Northeast with the growing digital sector here and with particular strengths in international gaming companies who are based here in the Northeast. So we see a really exciting future here, one that is really offering a counter narrative to these sort of scare stories around young men in online spaces. and we think this is something that we'd really like to proceed with. So I'll stop talking now because I want to give a chance for questions. But yeah, just to thank everyone for the participation today, and like Jenny, reflecting on sort of loving being in this sort of trustee role with an organisation. It's so energising. So thanks to all involved.
Oh, thank you, Micheal. Yeah, so we come to the end of our webinar, and I just wanted to share my screen once more, the final sharing of the screen, to just say as this kind of, to put it, I thought this was nice. We need to stay fresh, free, and future focused, I think, with DigiDAD, and that means a lot of things for us. I mean, it really will help if you subscribe and invest. So if you go onto our YouTube channel and subscribe, if you log into the DigiDAD platform, which I'll make sure I put all of those links to in the chat. Even if you tweet about this webinar today, if you haven't enjoyed it, maybe you don't need to tweet, that's fine, don't worry. But if you have, it'd be really, really appreciated. And it's been absolutely, thank you so much for being here and giving up your Thursday morning, because it's quite a long webinar, but we had, you know, a lot to get through. And I will welcome any questions. So I'll go to Tom. Tom, have you had any questions in the chat so far?
Jonah, there's lots in the chat, which is fabulous affirmation, but there aren't any questions, so we can go straight to live questions from participants.
Yeah, that's great. So if anyone does have any questions, they can either pop it in the chat bar, or if they want to unmute themselves and ask a question, that's also absolutely fine. And whilst people might be thinking and stuff, I'll pop our details in once again, so you will have our details, so you can. So Chris, what evaluation has been conducted on the courses? So that's where our advisory board come in. So they're the evaluators of our courses. So they're in terms of making sure that the content's kind of best practice, and we do that throughout the whole process. So they're usually involved about 3 or 4 times during when we make a course. So it'll be right at the beginning. Then before the scripts are voiced over, usually is a good time, and then at the end as well, to kind of make sure that everything's been reflective in it, and also that the questions that live on the DigiDAD channel, they all go through the advisory board. So is DigiDAD focused more on single dads? That's a really interesting question. And actually, this has been brought up in our advisory board, and I'd say the answer to this is that we're a family-focused charity at Needle. We always have the kind of the heart of the children at the mindset of everything that we do, and although they are single dads in the videos, they're mostly dads. There's a lot of references to mum, and I know that there was a conversation actually with Anna that was a really great conversation about our second parenting course. We didn't have the money to build another puppet, but we worked out how to get mum involved as much as possible in those courses. And I think, Doug, did you have your hand up there as well?
Yeah, sorry, I did. Just to come back on that question a little bit. Yeah, one of the reasons that the videos, it's mainly portraying dad, because one of the things that a lot of the young men say to us is whenever they watch any parenting videos, it very much focuses on mum doing a lot of the practical stuff and not on dad. And they say what we want to do is make sure that these videos were, as they say, very family focused. It's not about, it's about the dad being able to do that, but he's actually sharing that. I think if you go into the DigiDAD platform, and you see the more videos when we're talking about feeding. Now, one of the most important things, and Katrina will agree with you on that, one of the things we want to focus on is dad's been able to support mum who chooses to breastfeed as well. So we include mum in a lot of these videos as in reference to supporting mum, but want to focus on dad being able to do those tasks as well.
Cheers. Thank you, Doug.
In there, Jordan, is that okay? It was almost just to add a point to what Doug said, and that's a fab answer. But I think one of the other things we need to acknowledge is the system often judges young dads and their ability to be a dad, but actually the system isn't designed to show dads how to be a dad. And that's really what DigiDAD is trying to achieve. So the videos about teething, feeding, bathing, all those kind of key milestones are really important for young men to learn, but we currently don't have a system which really shows young men, young dads how to achieve that, yet we judge them against their ability to do it. And this is designed to be the bridge between that void, really.
Cheers. Thank you, Stephen. Has anyone else got anything they'd like to add from the advisory board? Or cool, I'll move on. So Tom says, can we give the links to young dads? Yeah, please do. So my suggestion would probably be the best way to do it is to give them the www.digidad.uk link. What it's really informed my practice actually of how I work with dads, because it's very much a resource that I would encourage you maybe to go away and use and see. And please get back to me as well if you have any feedback. But also, you know, it'll depend on the individual that you might send it to. So whether you want to go through that in person with them, whether it's something that they can do before a session and then you come in so you have a little bit of knowledge and you can test knowledge as well, to kind of see those videos. I'd really encourage like practitioners to work through it before and then see how best it could suit the needs of your clients as well. There's lots of offers as well, like there's downloadable PDFs on there, which are designed so that you can download them and just stick them on a fridge, so that the information is constantly being reminded to them and has them at heart as well. So yeah, please do share with your networks. That'd be great. Trying to see more questions. Oh.
Is it, Jonah, is it worth a word in answer to have female partners, what have female partners have had to say about our work in terms of supporting their male partners?
I just messaged them back there actually, because Jonah was speaking, saying about that. So I was just texting there. Hold on, sweetheart. Hold on, sweetheart. One sec, I'm gonna have to mute you, mate.
That's all right.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Actually, in terms of because I'm not with my partner anymore, with my daughter, you know, her mom. But I openly, we're in a space right now where I openly talk about what I do here with the mother of my child, even though we're not you know, together anymore, and she's very supportive too. So just the sheer fact that I'm not currently in a relationship with her and she's still very supportive, I can't imagine that much negative feedback would come from any, you know, other half for this kind of stuff. All this charity is about is positivity, and it just helps. Bottom line, it helps anyone that needs it. So yeah, the feedback, I'd say from my personal experience, the feedback from partners is great. Yeah.
And I think it's important to note as well, and we've recently done a project with the Baltic Centre of Contemporary Art that was kind of around non-gendered, non-hierarchical play, and that was very, very much, although it was a kind of father-led project, it was very much with the interest of the families at heart, and we had a multitude of family days part of that project, which welcomed children, stepchildren, mums, stepmums into the into that kind of the group we had created. We opened up questions about equality, equity, and sort of also in response to, we were kind of creating work as well in response to a group of men in their 70s called Achilles Heel, that were often described as quite a radical group, and actually some of the stuff we personally didn't agree with, and the partners didn't agree with, but it was a real kind of, I think that's a real sort of good reflection of how we work with families. And I know Doug as well, being that he's as the senior project worker, I often will call mum as well as dad in our meetings, and when our one-to-one meetings, mum can be involved, and and it is quite a lot of talking to, maybe if partners have split, it's a lot about relationship work as well, which actually is something that we really want to do as another course. We want to try and get a relationship course as well involved on the DigiDAD channel. Did you want to jump in as well, Doug?
Yeah, thank you, Jonah. Just on that question about involving the partners of the dads, that's very important to us. And just a quick reflection on that, really working with the Family Nurse Partnership within Gateshead and Sunderland, where we very much work in collaboration with each other. And I know that whenever I go and meet new dads, and we'll talk about if the family nurse is involved, about their work, and they also promote our DigiDAD service and showing mums it and telling them it'd be a great idea if the dad got involved in doing that. So we're very much, it's focused on dad, but it's about the family. It's an open access system. So if mums want to go in and look at that, and we promote that if mum and dad are together, both the young people are together, both of them have a look at it, and both of them talk about it and go through questions. And then that helps everybody. It makes it a lot easier for the dad to be able to access it and talk about it as well, because we want to be able to, for both those parents to be confident that they both can parent to the best of their ability.
Thank you, Doug. Is there anything else, Tom, that's kind of come up, or shall I have a?
Can I just ask? Oh.
Go ahead, because I haven't spotted anything else.
Katrina, I was going to say there was a good question there about did we in the future want to look at anything to do with children with special needs and developmental delay? I think that was a little bit back.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really important, a really important question, and one that I would say yes to. It's I know already we're really trying to do a kind of perinatal course that I think would there'd be and kind of the very early stages of childbirth as well. I'm also kind of slightly unrelated, but not, reading a book around fathers that have children born with disabilities, and I think it's only a kind of area that's growing. I also have done work around sort of disabilities, and I think it's an area that really, really needs to be highlighted. Again, the thing is, it's really difficult at the moment because we're a small charity, and as much as we would love to do everything, it does cost money, and it's not cheap as well. Like film work isn't cheap. It could be cheap, but it'd be quite rubbish, and the materials that you have just wouldn't be good. So we really choose to invest our money smartly but wisely as well, and that this is where sort of collaborations can come in, and that sort of thing. Like, I would love to do something around that work, but it's just about finding the funds and the staff time and paying for all of that sort of stuff. But that doesn't mean that it won't happen, because it definitely will happen, and I'll be furiously writing grants here, there and everywhere.
Challenge in that as well is it's a great challenge, and it's one we will crack, but quite often the pathways of various aspects of health are slightly differently, and we need to be careful that DigiDAD doesn't put out the wrong messages. So if we think about a kind of diagnostic pathway such as autism, it's probably a great example. while it's a very similar pathway across the country, there are nuances in every different area. We have different SEND-IAS provision, we have different voluntary sector organisations, so we have to make sure we have a consistent message which works for all, and that's often a challenge in the online world because this can spread very quickly globally, and we need to make sure we're kind of saying the right thing. So that's a challenge we're going to happily accept, but it's one we will crack.
I think Bernadette Brown from Children's North East put a question up, and I can see she's got a hand up, Jordan.
Is it Armstrong?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed the webinar. I have to say it's been incredibly informative. I probably have 1,000,001 questions, so I'm probably going to limit what I'm going to say. One of the questions I put in the chat is how much you do signposting to other local charities, because we are, well, my charity is Children North East, and we're very much a child-friendly, family-focused charity. We do courses such as preparing for babies here, drop-in sessions. We work with early help, social care and things like that. And one of our main motivations is including fathers, obviously of every age, but particularly young fathers, in all of those processes and those services that we provide, because one of our fundamental beliefs is children do better when both parents are involved, regardless of whether they live in the same house or not. And so I just wondered how much you link in with local charities and utilise the support and services that are available there. The other question that kind of popped up earlier on in your session was around the court process and things like that. One of the other services that we provide are contact services when child arrangement orders are granted through the legal process, and whether it would be in an interest to do a video relating to children's contact centres so that we can enable dads to utilise them to their best advantage in order to promote that relationship with their children and move them out into the community and away from contact centres.
Yeah, thank you, Bernadette. That's really great. And in answer to the first question, I guess, about sort of getting the stuff out there, and that was part of the reason why we did today. I think, you know, it was, we really wanted to kind of show people the journey of DigiDAD and kind of get as much stuff out to you guys today as possible, in the hope that, you know, we'll get some emails from people about, you know, what their charities are or what their organizations are, how we can, you know, how we can sort of link in together or give you the services in the most accessible and friendly way. So, and also, we try and be as predominant as we can on social media and through our email footers and stuff like that. Is a good way of getting it out. But again, our team is quite small at the moment, so it's we do a lot of other stuff as well. Like you know, this isn't DigiDAD is only part of my work that I do with the young dads. I also do like a lot of one-to-one work and, you know, run other group sessions as well. So but yeah, any way that we can link in with anyone else, and if you want any more support materials, I'll also pop my email as well in the chat, so please feel free to give me an email.
Okay, if I just quickly jump in on that one with Bernadette's question as well about working with other organizations and other services. That's an integral part of our work as well, because, you know, young men come to us as, you know, young dads and young dads to be, but that's not the only thing that they come with. They come with, you know, as life does, a lot of other things that need to be addressed and need support on, which we work through. So we do spend time in where we can. Sometimes I don't like the word refer on to other services, because sometimes when you say refer on, it feels like you're just passing them on to someone else. Work with other services to support Dad and his journey into fatherhood. We will always do that where it's appropriate. So we're always looking for services. But as Jonah said, we are a small charity, so sometimes, you know, you don't know what's going on out there because you're busy working it. So the more that we can find out what's out there, the more we can help. The one with contact centres is really interesting to us as well, because a lot of the times we're working with children's social care, and then when there's the private law cases, they will actually identify where the contact centre is, so there isn't a lot of choice where the young men can go. But if we can work with ourselves to look at that, that would be a really interesting part as well. Yeah, but our work is about working with partners and also raising those issues that arise for young dads living in the Northeast as well, and making sure that the services that are meant to be working with them are working with them in the way that meets those young men's needs.
Yeah, I think just sort of linking in and utilising different strengths from different organisations means that not everybody's got to cover every element, and actually that linked in and joined up working, I think, would be really useful between different organisations.
And Bernadette, that's kind of really what we were talking about here, really. This is, what we've kind of done here is kind of lay the gauntlet in the sense of we've done some films with what we've had funding for and capacity for, to kind of show actually there's a platform here now that our funders have enabled us to basically make available. So it's a bit of an invitation, like I say, to say, great, let's work with you, let's work with your services, let's work with collective kind of funds available, and let's kind of grow this one platform, and we can all use it. That's absolutely fine with us. We're not about owning this and controlling this. Let's make full use of this to benefit all the young men that we work with.
I see Steve's meeting up with Lee Elliott in a few weeks' time anyway, so hopefully we'll strengthen those links. I look forward to connecting more with you in the future.
Jonah, can I come in? Karen Armstrong has had her hand up for quite some time.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Karen?
Hi, it's been a really interesting webinar, so thanks very much. It's really refreshing to see that actually young dads are being, or dads in general, are being focused on, because I'm a midwife at heart, and it is very much like, as you say, the focus is very much to the women. And I think things are changing, dads are very much more a focus, and that's absolutely right. I think it's great what you're doing. I work within public health prevention and maternity team for the North East and North Cumbria integrated care system. So I work with a few other colleagues, and we are looking at preventative strategies. So it is looking at home environments, things like smoking, infant feeding. So, that's equally, it's about making sort of those health messages get out there as well, and helping put the right support in at the right time. So, we would be more than happy to have further conversations with you to see if there's anything we can do jointly from a preventative point of view, but looking at the home environment, or looking at the role models, aren't you? As a parent, you're a role model, so actually that's where we need to start. And we know that children, for the best outcomes, the first 1001 days are so critical. So yeah, and the other thing I was just going to ask you, with regards to, are you in touch with all like the maternity units within the Northeast area? Have you got, like, do they have access to your links to pass on? I'm just thinking the digital platform from a point of view of a lot of the trusts have Badgernet now. So it's electronic records for mums that you can push notifications and things like that within that platform to information, to websites, all of that. So that might be another avenue. I mean, if mums and dads are together, it's obviously easier, but it might be another avenue to tap into, so that there's something there for dads as well that we're signposting to.
Karen, if you can help us do that, that'll be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, in response to your first question as well, if you watch the first and second parenting series in full, you'll see that actually there's a lot of thought being given to some of those making the home safe messages anyway. It just needs, I guess, and there's a massive list that we've kind of got of films and animations we haven't made yet. So we're talking the same way with this stuff, really, and we'd love to kind of work more collaboratively. But definitely in terms of making those links, this is really the start of today. Was really about launching awareness of this. And we are just a small but vital charity. So the more other services can help us to sort of really get the message out and connect this up with the existing provision, the better, really.
Well, we work alongside all the maternity care providers within the North East and North Cumbria. So we have good network and links, and I'm sure it's something we could certainly explore to see if there's a way, from digital platforms that, you could communicate with the people that you need to. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. I'm just aware of the time, so if people do have to leave, then that's absolutely fine. You've had like 2 hours of us now, so that's it's probably more than anyone needs. But I'm happy to stay on for another 5 or so minutes if anyone's got any like burning questions that they have. But if not, then I'll end the session there. Has anyone got anything else?
I will have to leave because my phone's going to die. So
I'll
see you later.
See you, Jordan. Cool. So I think that's it. Well, thank you all for staying, and and thank you all for the speakers, and I hope you've got a sense of what DigiDAD can be and what DigiDAD currently is. And yeah, your time is really, really, really appreciated. And I hope we all have some follow-up emails. I'll probably be very busy next week, which will be great. So thank you, everyone. And I'll hopefully see or hear from you all soon. Cool, artist.
Oh no, don't report.
Right, I think. Oh, just there. One sec, I'll just remove some lingerers. Right, cool. That's it. That's done.
Well done, Jonah.
2 hours of your lives. You're never going to get back. Hey.
How do you feel now it's done?
I think I've stopped shaking now.
Oh, bless you. It's well done.
Yeah.
It was really good, mate. Oh, sorry, I was just waiting for the for Denise to kind of go before I spoke. Honestly, I thought it was really, really good. I think I think lots of really good feedback. Esme Fairburn had put in Heather Salmon is quite high up in Esme Fairburn, but she was saying she's really excited by the offer of making something freely available, and she's going to think about how Esme Fairburn can invest in that, which is kind of great to have that, really. And clearly Karen Armstrong's going to be a good link for us kind of going forward, as well, in terms of that kind of NHS connection as well, by the looks of it, Stephen. So I think there's lots. I think you've put it out there really well. I think it's a real good mix. I think the dads have been brilliant. I think it's we've basically kind of thrown it out there, really, and just really kind of, I think you've done a great job at kind of selling it, really. So well done.
Yeah, good. No, I thought everyone did really well. Yeah. Everyone spoke really. It was. I think it was nice. I'm glad I had that many speakers, because it just broke it up, I think, quite a lot, which was good, because it was quite a long webinar. I'm surprised, it was 12 and only I think 5 people had left by that point. So I was surprised that we managed to retain that many people.
They stayed with it, didn't they?
You always get drop out in the hour and a half hour because people have got other things on and that, but the amount of people that stayed on was really high. And I think the comments and the questions at the end kind of came